The one thing you didn't sign up for today was audience participation. So I'm going to feel a bit like the Pope. I'm going to divide you into quarters, roughly top left, top right, bottom left, bottom right. I know it's different for you, but this is for me. Top left, this is your instruction. You're going to chant, "Give me love or give me death."
Give me love or give me death.
No, again.
Give me love or give me death.
Top right. Food and freedom now.
Food and freedom now.
Oh, hungry. Excellent. Good. I want to vote for pink unicorns.
I want to vote for pink unicorns.
Okay. Bottom right. Hey, I found a cure for cancer.
Hey, I found a cure for cancer.
They're a bit too good. The rest of you are going to have to make a bit more effort. Now, all of you, all at once, your line only until I ask you to stop and go. Okay, whoa. That is not a beautiful chaos. It's a cacophony of noise, and it's a really difficult thing to navigate. It's the thing that we're greeted with each and every single day as we wake up and we reach for our smartphones. What is the first thing we do in the mornings? In the olden days, it would be to knock off the alarm clock. Now we pick up our phones, ostensibly to switch off the alarm clock, but what we are doing is opening a gateway into our lives. And we're being subjected to all of this sort of stuff. It's really the attention economy, if you like. And it's affecting every single aspect of our lives. I don't know about you, but I find myself constantly being bombarded by messages from politicians, from political parties, people who want my attention. They think that by shouting louder than everybody else, they're going to get my attention, but everybody is shouting louder. Buy, an office chair online. What happens to you for the next week? Oh, you like office chairs. You should have more office chairs. Here's another office chair. Here's an office chair better than the one you bought at half the price. You should have bought this office chair. Constantly for a week. Even my coffee shop sends me a message. It's time for another cup of coffee. I know when I need another cup of coffee. 3 times a day. You don't need to tell me to have another one. And then when you don't respond for a day or two, they send another message. 30% of what we call food and your cardiologist calls school fees. Come into the shop. It's consistent and it's everywhere. And it really is hard, therefore, to discern between what does and does not matter. More audience participation. Read this immediately. However, given just a moment, you may very well have seen that. Why do we all go immediately? And it doesn't make you bad people. Well, not very bad people. Why do we see opportunities nowhere? Well, it's the way we read, but it is also everything in our lives that we bring to every bit of information that we consume. We tend to leap to the very first conclusions that we're presented with, and that's why social media is so much fun. I've been studying companies, founders, leaders, CEOs for more than 20 years in high-performing companies. High-performing companies in one of the most dysfunctional environments on earth, certainly dysfunctional business environments on earth. And all of them have got a superpower, and who doesn't want a superpower? You've seen the movies, haven't you? I mean, Iron Man has got superior intellect, and Flash moves at the speed of light. These are people who focus on one thing. And that's their superpower. For us, in the 21st century, in a very cluttered and competitive world, in this attention economy, true power, says Noah Yuval Harari, is knowing what to ignore. And that is a true superpower. But how do you know what is relevant and irrelevant? Now, without fail, all of the people I've studied over the more than 2 decades have got this superpower, this ability to navigate bad news, to navigate a toxic environment better than everybody else. They go to the same parties, they go to the same social media feeds, they watch the same news, they are subjected to the same fears and aspirations as we all have for our kids. Yet somehow they manage to focus only on what is important. And it's a lesson that comes from Jeff Bezos, who's built the world's 2nd biggest retailer in Amazon over the last 25 years. He talks about data. To be data-driven, he says, You need a culture that is able to focus on the data that whispers and sometimes screams. That's really powerful because there is so much data, so much information. How do you know? There was really important information here in bottom right, but nobody knows that we've now found a cure for cancer because all the rest of you were cluttering our environment. 1944, a guy called Abram Waltz, who's a statistician, is called into a meeting in New York City, and the military is really worried about the fatality rates of aircraft in the Pacific Rim of the war. And so what they want is the statisticians to explain to them on that schematic why the aircraft are being shot down. And everyone's looking at exactly the same data set. Aircraft that are limping back to base are shot up, got bullet holes all over them. Till Abram Waltz, after 2 or 3 days of debate, goes, it's hidden in plain sight. We're not looking at the data that whispers, he would have said. Was he Jeff Bezos? But he said, we're looking at the obvious. We're seeing the aircraft that do make it home. We're not seeing the ones that don't. And the ones that do make it home, the engine cowlings are intact. The cockpit is intact. The pilots are fine. Therefore, we should assume that the ones that are crashing into the sea where we can't get to them are being hit in those vulnerable spots. The aircraft was strengthened in those particular areas and fatality rates plummeted, unlike the aircraft. Here's our reality. There is so much information around us all the time, and so much clutter, and so much distraction that we cannot make decent decisions, and it hamstrings us. We spend so much time in what Dr. Seuss describes in Oh, the Places You Will Go, as the waiting place, because we're waiting for a better time, waiting for a signal, waiting for something to happen that tells us it's okay to take a bet, may take a risk, to invest in a business, to invest in our futures. And that's really tough. Hans Rosling was a very smart guy, also looked at the data. He also looked at what was not obvious. As we come to this point in our history, and it's really, really difficult, I think, to understand what we should differentiate between. And when we make everything a priority, nothing else can be a priority. We have to learn to prioritize. A guy I know who started Bidvest, it's a global services firm, stuck this note up in the global financial crisis in every single Bidvest facility in the world. Bidvest does not participate in any recession. And of course there was a massive recession. Of course they felt the pain of the recession. What he was telling his staff was, don't think like everybody else. Because if you think like everybody else, you get the same outcomes. Always look differently at the problems that you face. And it's very clear, to my mind anyway, Abraham Lincoln, a smart fella who was alive in the 1850s and 1860s, of course, was assassinated in the 1860s. The best way to predict your future is to create it. And you can only create it if you focus in on what does matter. And it differentiates for all of us. If you focus on what matters to you and cut out the rest of the noise and the clutter, you will manage the chaos rather than let the chaos manage you. Thank you very much.